everyone, for making this happen. I know it's a busy business hours, and this half a day which you're going to spend with us, we will ensure that it is going to be interesting and informative. The third eye, of course, is with you to make it more interactive. So please feel free. We are going to have Q&As after every session, which we are going to have now. We are going to have breaks. We are going to have enough question answers, So there are a lot of a lot of things which is there with the cloud networking. By the by, my name is Ramanan, as Nabil introduced. I drive the cloud networking as a business for Citrix India. So we'll talk about the whole of this half a day, whatever the session which we are going to have, on the two different solutions. We will talk about it, and quite a lot of unaware things about this technology. There are a lot of our existing customers over here, so for specific use cases which you might be using it for a NetScaler and even the Cloud Bridge, but there are a lot more things which you can do it on that. So I'm going to give a very brief perspective or an overview of what exactly this cloud networking portfolio from Citrix is all about, what's happening in the industry, where it is moving forward, and how we can able to make more in less kind of scenario. So we will talk about in brief about that. To start with, where we started off our journey, it's a 15 years of journey for where we started off with the NetScaler, and we understand Citrix as an organization, 25 years in the existence, we understand the application pretty well compared to anybody else in the industry. If you look at, we start off our organization with the application as a background, we virtualize the application, and when it comes to networking again, we understand the application pretty well. The heaviness of the application, the user experience, bandwidth utilization, all those things we understand pretty well compared to anybody else in the market. So that's where the cloud networking portfolio is one of the most critical thing in today's industry, and that's where you can see that the kind of growth which we have been here seeing, in the last few years, the amount of growth which our networking portfolio has been contributing to us is significant. That tells one thing very clearly, that the need for this solution in the market is pretty high. Where this need comes in from, that's what we are going to discuss throughout the this half a day session today. Right, so 15 years, various different things, lot of leaps and bounds in terms of the technology variations, and where we started off with the basic level HTTP, then we went on to the web 1.0, 2.0, and the way the web applications and the WAN optimization, the piece is going on is pretty significant. So we need to have a technology which addresses not only your current challenges, of course, it has to be ready for your future tomorrow also. And that's precisely we are going to spend time today. Going beyond ADC, right? The going beyond ADC, it's just no more this particular environment is an application delivery controller. People are looking beyond. How can I make this application delivery controller to a service delivery controller? And we will talk about in detail in terms of what are all the things which convert this ADC to a SDC kind of a scenario. As Nabil pointed out, so we lead this market, and I have been with Citrix for the last 6 years. From the day I joined, I have been seeing that NetScaler has been there in the leader category in the Gartner report, right? So we have been doing a lot of good work, and Gartner again doesn't analyze just because of the revenue or whatever it is. They analyze on various parameters, the customer satisfaction, the support, customer support, which is being extended by the organization, particularly the features and functionalities which is required and relevant for the industry. So that's precisely which we have been doing it consistently, and we have been growing. If you look at this particular space itself, we have been growing at a rapid pace of globally. We have been the NetScaler business been growing at 47% year-over-year, and that's a phenomenal growth. And that tells one thing very clearly, that there is a huge potential and there is a need for the solution with each and every customer, right? So we will talk about where this need and why this solution is very critical for your environment, So apart from the products, commercial and all those things, one of the most critical thing is the satisfaction, customer satisfaction. And this is one of the third-party survey which is being conducted by one of the organization. They did the survey with all the vendors in the market, and NetScaler played the number 1 out of 16 categories. There are totally 21 categories. Out of 21 categories, 16 categories, NetScaler was rated as the number 1 in terms of various overall satisfaction, tech support, the value for money solution, on all those parameters. So that's where we stand little bit different. We are going to talk about quite a lot of key differentiators today during the session, and most of the things are key differentiator for NetScaler and Cloud Bridge, which we are going to talk about compared to the rest of the people in the market. right? So when it comes to application performance, application delivery, like there are two different solutions which we have in the cloud networking portfolio, which we are going to talk about today. One is NetScaler, right? NetScaler is a very, very important and integral component for any customer when anything to do with a web application, anything to do with the HTTP. And we understand, as I said in the beginning, that we understand the application, the way at which the application behavior, how it is transmitted, how it can be very effectively delivered to the user and make use of the fullest usage of the application, which you have deployed. And that's what NetScaler does for anything to do with HTTP traffic. It can be your internal application, your ERP, CRM, or customer-facing application, .NET custom-built application. We understand there are a lot of challenges customer faces, and how NetScaler can help you in terms of overcoming these particular challenges which you are incurring on this particular web application environment. The second one is a cloud bridge, and this is becoming one of the critical solution for a lot of customers today, because the more and more the heaviness of the application, the requirement or probably the expectation from the bandwidth, it's very high. But unfortunate situation today is that we don't get what exactly we want in terms of the quality of service which is expected to deliver the application from A location to the B location today doesn't happen, right? That's where the need for a WAN optimizer becoming one of the most critical thing, and that's where we could be able to see a lot of market for Cloud Bridge as well. So we will talk about Cloud Bridge, different use cases. So we will touch upon a lot of use cases on this and how NetScaler and Cloud Bridge can able to help you for your organization benefit in terms of effective utilization of the resources. So when it comes to NetScaler, so we understand that as I mentioned, any web-based application which you are using it, and this has been growing by the by, it is not only the regular HTTP based application. Apart from the regular HTTP based application, we are seeing a lot of new applications where the need for a NetScaler is been growing, which we will talk about it in a while. And whenever there is any web application, customers face different kind of challenges. One is the availability. And we all know the availability challenges, whenever somebody is pinging in, there are a lot of websites where you would have seen, whenever you pinging, server not available, or that rotator keep rotating around, because that's whole problem is the availability of the application. The server is not available for the user whenever he is pinging, is not there, right? One of the key challenge, right? Availability. The second is the performance. Performance does matters. Everybody knows here, as I mentioned, ISV providers are coming out with new versions of the applications. Every new version has the need of the bandwidth, or the need of the heaviness of the application keep increasing, and the bandwidth cannot able to sustain in terms of delivering the effective application, and that's where you need to have somebody who can able to effectively manage in material of whatever the heaviness of the application. The user experience is one of the most critical thing, and that's what we are going to talk about, how NetScaler is going to improve the performance of your web application delivery. The third thing is the security, and this is very important. Everybody knows here how secure it, I can able to have my infrastructure. When the moment I go for a HTTP based environment, people are going to access from different network, different device, from anywhere kind of environment. And how are you going to secure your infrastructure? How am I going to secure the links, infrastructure? And that's precisely which we are going to talk about it. And it is uniquely NetScaler, it is uniquely NetScaler which has, or probably which meets all your requirements, which whatever the challenges which you are currently facing, the solution for all the problems which you are facing today is NetScaler. It meets, right? When we are talking about the availability, it's just not only server load balancing. Everybody knows server load balancing is an important component when it comes to web-based application. Going beyond server load balancing, link load balancing, ensuring the availability of your link, and unique feature or functionality, probably most of you might be hearing it for the first time, the database server load balancing. Our friends are going to talk about in detail how critical is this database server load balancing, and it is uniquely only NetScaler has this functionality, and which is going to ensure that not only the web application server and the link, also the database environment is going to be available to the user, to you at any point of time. So that's on the availability. We are going to have more information from our friends on that. On the performance front, there are different ways and means at which I can able to improve the performance of the web application delivery. One is to reduce the server workload, another is to improve the performance, by compression or caching, or on the TCP side of it. And uniquely, Citrix has come out with some very innovative ideas that is called the FEO, the front-end optimization. Today it is mobility world, and our friends are going to talk about in detail in terms of how this front-end optimization is going to help improving the performance and resizing the image when somebody is actually accessing your application from a mobile device. Different mobile devices, different dimensions, like how this guy is intelligent enough in terms of resizing the image and also optimize the delivery of the application. Those are all different ways at which you can improve the performance of your web application delivery. And the third important critical thing is the security. And how do we secure your environment? Whether it is a link or on the infrastructure side, the NetScaler is a powerful web application firewall, and we are going to talk about in detail in terms of how this web application firewall can protect your environment against any web attacks, right? So that's what we are going to talk about. So in a nutshell, if you look at all these bubbles which we are talking about in the sense in terms of the features and functionalities, is one NetScaler which delivers all these features and functionalities, right? Without any performance degradation, it is capable enough to handle all kind of loads at simultaneously, right? So what tells us is that, as I mentioned, these use cases, whatever these feature functionalities which we talked about, it is just not only for your web application. It helps your business continuity. It ensures that the availability of the server link and the database, and that ensures that the business continuity is being taken care. And it ensures that the business agility, where the performance is being taken care, their user experience is being taken care, and that's where you will see as a huge productivity of your environment, right? The third thing is securing an infrastructure is one of the most critical thing, and this is not only for your web application. As I said, the use case for this is been growing. Today, for any Microsoft workload, whether it is Exchange Server or SharePoint or Link, you need a NetScaler over there. And Microsoft and Citrix has the 25-year-long relationship, and we know what exactly is required for the Microsoft environment, and that's what NetScaler delivers. Going beyond, of course, our own Citrix environment, XenApp or Zen Desktop or Zen Mobile, where you need to have a NetScaler over there, and we are going to talk about each and every of these use cases, and we are going to talk about how this NetScaler is going to help on each and every use cases for you. And then the last but not the least, the very important thing is our joint integration solution with Cisco. A lot of Cisco customers over here, we will talk about how Citrix NetScaler integrates with different Cisco environments, right? So these are all different use cases, as I mentioned, and it just keeps growing. It just keeps growing day by day. And the question is, are we going to just keep on investing on this kind of a solution, or looking at a solution, a smart solution, which going to probably meet all my current use cases and requirements, and also kind of able to probably scale up in terms of ensuring it takes care of my future requirements as well. What we see in the industry in a lot of enterprise corporate organizations, where you will see a lot of different applications, all are web-based applications, different environment. It belongs to different departments, right? So what we end up in doing it, whether it is an application based requirement or it is a feature-based requirement. So we have seen in a lot of customer places where they will have two server load balancer, they will have two link load balancer, they will have two SSL VPN. You will see all silo technologies running around in the infrastructure, right? And plus, on top of that, what happens depends upon the departments, depends upon the the applications which you use. Two for Citrix environment, two for Oracle, two for SAP, two for Microsoft, two. What happens is your total cost of ownership on the complete infrastructure is pretty high. Of course, we understand the throughput requirement and the functionality, the service level, and the administration for all these applications and the environments are completely different, and hence you might require a separate environment over there. But at the end of the day, you also have to realize the amount of investment the organization is making on this complete infrastructure. It's the same technology, server load balancer, but different application, different user group, and hence you are investing on multiple times, right? So that's where Citrix plays a major role in terms of how we can able to help you reduce your total cost of ownership. One of the key thing which comes in, okay, right, I can able to get all the workload on one one single appliance or one single solution, but what happens to my performance and reliability, right? We have seen in the industry that there are a lot of people claim that performance, I do have a lot of features, functionalities, but at the end of the day, when you enable the second functionality, the first functionality, performance comes down drastically. And that's where NetScaler is unique in terms of the way at which it is being architected. Each and every functionality is a separate module by itself, and every single functionality you can enable on the NetScaler to get the maximum performance out of it. enabling Y functionality is not going to affect the X performance. That's where the NetScaler is being architected, and you will get more out of one, right? That's the whole idea, and that's where you will be able to see the drop down on your TCO, the money at which you are been spending on multiple silo technologies or multiple application, where you can able to bring down the intelligence onto one single solution. NetScaler helps in data center consolidation. A lot of customers are looking at the data center consolidation, and how NetScaler can able to help is to bring all the intelligence on one single appliance. You can get rid of all the point products over there in your data center. You don't need too many racks over there, the boxes in your rack in the data center. You can bring down the the intelligence onto the NetScaler, and that's where you will be able to have a huge data center consolidation of the point product solution, consolidation of multiple use cases. Don't buy separate boxes for separate use cases. Bring all the workload onto the NetScaler, and NetScaler is capable enough to handle as many workloads as possible, right? And we talked about the the reducing the data center footprint. This is one of the most critical thing. Quite a few years back, people talked about the green initiatives. A lot of people have gone ahead with the green initiative. We started doing server virtualization purely on the basis of E initiative, reduce the workload and how much I can able to get more out of it. This is the same initiative is required in the industry today, because the E wastage in the industry is pretty huge. I was shocked to hear last week. I read an article. Only in Bangalore city, there are more than 100,000 tons of e-wastage happens every year. Just imagine out in the whole country how much is the e-wastage which happens, right? That's pretty huge. So let's not keep buying boxes, let's see how much of intelligence a solution can able to bring in, and let's bring down our data center footprint as much as possible. And that also help you in the easy management, because you have not too many things to manage. You have one guy to manage, and it's pretty easier for the admin also to manage, and it brings down your TCO drastically. So we will tell you how we can able to protect your investment, and that's pretty important, and that's where that Citrix TryScale technology helps you in bringing. This is a classic innovation from NetScaler, and it is Citrix who invented this technology of TryScale. What is this TryScale all about? When we're talking about multiple use cases, multiple things, and you are telling that bring all the intelligence onto one single device, but this requires a huge amount of scalability, right? That's what TryScale does. Citrix says that there are 3 ways at which you can able to have the scalability in your infrastructure. One is the scale up. What is scale up is all about? I buy an appliance which meets my current requirement, and I just buy that, and tomorrow every organization is growing, and the number of kids are growing, and the number of requirements are growing, and you build in number of use cases, and hence the throughput requirement is more. All you have to do it is just a simple license upgrade from X box to the Y box. The key differentiator for NetScaler compared to anybody else in the industry is we not only upgrade your throughput, we upgrade the entire configuration of the X box to the Y box. Means the SSL TPS, the number of SSL VPN concurrent sessions, the WAF throughput, everything is increases when you are upgrading from X box to Y box, and that upgradation is just a simple license upgrade. And the next one is the more NetScaler per NetScaler, which is the scale within an appliance, right? That is the SDX concept which Nabil was talking about. This is one of the classic solution. A lot of customers in the market are adopting to this in a big way. The reason behind is use cases are increasing. Shall I invest on multiple boxes, or can I get multiple boxes within one single box? That's what it is. SDX is a multi-tenancy solution from Citrix, where you can get more NetScalers per NetScaler, and this, when we understand, in a network topology, there are some features and functionalities which has to run in the DMZ, where the SSL functionalities, the GSLV functionality has to sit in the DMZ, and there are some functionalities like server load balancing has to sit within the data center, inside the data center, just before your web app server farm, and some functionalities which we are going to talk about, the database server load balancing has to sit between the web tier and the DB tier. Physically, can we position all these things, or I will create the environment and make these guys sit in all these environments. That's what SDX does, right? And by the by, all these virtual instances are completely isolated by nature. You can create the virtual instance as per the need of the throughput or the CPU or the memory. or even including the administrator control. The VM1 has nothing to do with VM2. The administrator control is completely different for VM1 and VM2, or how many ever VMs which you are going to create. You can just keep scaling up, like, and every box has a good amount of scalability within. That's what the SDX is all about. And this is what I was talking about, different functionalities, different kind of things where you can create the VMs, make these guys sit in the DMC zone or in front of your web app server farm or the database server load balancing, and make use of that particular one box. It's a one single appliance solution where you can get multiple functionalities run on the same, right? And going beyond, apart from whatever the features and functionalities which we talked about for your web apps environment, going beyond what Citrix has done, we approached all the third-party vendors. Today, if you want to buy any of these technologies, whether Palo Alto, RSA, Trend Micro, or Splunk, you don't need to buy their appliance. Everybody has a virtual appliance. Create a virtual instance in NetScaler SDX, get their virtual appliance running on NetScaler, and that's where you will see a huge further amount of data center footprint reduction. That's a huge cost reduction for you, for your environment, and you will really see a great benefit of NetScaler SDX playing a major role in your infrastructure. So that's where the scale in comes in. The next way of scaling is what? Boss, you sold me a box where I have scaled up. Now I have reached the maximum. So what do? My requirement is keep on increasing. So what should I throw this box or what? You don't need to throw the box. Citrix has a classic functionality called true clustering. This true clustering ensures point number one, whenever you buy a HA, you can make both of them active. You can cluster them and you can make both of them active. And when you reach that maximum throughput, you can just keep on adding appliances on the same cluster. Up to 32 appliances you can have in single cluster, single IP address. It's a maximum scalability ever can anybody imagine. You can have terabytes of throughput in one single cluster. That's the classic innovation from Citrix, and that's where you will see this TryScale plays a major role in terms of ensuring your scalability has been taken care, your data center footprint has been reduced, and you will see a drastic reduction on your TCO, right? And these are all the different solutions we have, as Nabil talked about. We have the virtual appliance solution, and also we have the physical appliance solution. And physical appliance, again, MPX is a standalone solution, and SDX is where the multi-tenancy solution. The good innovation again there is from MPX to SDX, any point of time you can migrate. That means if your today's requirement is only server load balancing and only for some of the workloads, later future tomorrow you might see some of the functionalities is required. That time you might need the multi-tenancy. I don't want to invest now. You can buy the MPX now and later you can do a upgradation. All upgradation, whatever we talk about is the software license upgrade. We don't have any modules, external modules. The only external module for us is the SFPs. Apart from that, there is nothing else, no extra physical modules. Every upgradation for us is a license-based upgrade, right? I don't know, the clicker is not working again. This is my last slide and a very important slide, right? When I joined Citrix 6 years back, the first slide which people put it across on NetScaler when they taught me was 75% of the global internet traffic goes through Citrix NetScaler. And this 75% is actually gone up today. The reason behind is most of the critical web customers today, they are running their environment on Citrix. Amazon, whether it is AWS or their shopping website, runs on NetScaler. Whatever the application you download from the Apple iStore comes from the NetScaler. Microsoft, Google, quite a lot of heavily used web services all run on NetScaler today. And we have more than 500 happy customers in India, which we can just keep on talking about, different industry, different verticals, different use cases, and they all happy customers having, using NetScaler for years. Right? And we have been growing, a lot of customers every now and then, every day we are keep on adding more and more customers, happy NetScaler customers. So we will be very happy, to partner along with you, to understand your requirement, to understand the pain areas, the challenges, and we will definitely able to consult in terms of how our networking solutions can able to help you. And as we mentioned, in whichever the way possible, reduce your data center footprint, reduce your TCO, protect your investments and meet whatever the challenges which you are facing in your environment, keeping your users happy, making your life simple and easier, right? So this half day which we are going to spend, definitely it is going to be useful for you in terms of knowing and get to understand so many new things like NetScaler and CloudBridge has. And I don't want to take more time on the stage talking business discussions. Being a tech exchange forum, I will hand over the floor to our friends, our technology leaders over here. So before I hand over, any questions? Please, sir. For the interest of others. Go ahead.
I would like to know about two things. One is you mentioned about SharePoint. Yeah. So you had shown only SharePoint 2010. So is it support 2013? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. And second thing about the biggest concern while consolidation is the license. Okay. The existing licenses which we have. So is there any specific view or experience you would like to share?
Which license you?
Of the applications, which are the example if there are say SharePoint, okay, and we want to consolidate using NetScaler or something. So is there any view or experience you would like to share that how it can be really helpful?
Yeah. So what we are going to today, it's a valid question. And one of the most critical problems the industry is facing today is visibility, right? And NetScaler has, both NetScaler and CloudBridge has one of the amazing tool called Insight Center. We don't want to present it to you. We want to show a live demo of how Insight Center works. Insight Center is a classic tool where anything which flows through NetScaler and CloudBridge, it is going to give a granular view, more easy to understand graphical representation. And that's what Insight Center, and that is a part and parcel of NetScaler and CloudBridge whenever you buy. We will show a live demo towards the end of the session. We are going to spend ample amount of time because that is one of the most critical thing a lot of customers are looking at. And that will solve the problems like, so license utilization may not be visible over there, but the user experience, because commonly one of the key thing is we always keep hearing that the user always complaining about the application is running slow, I don't know what is the problem, frequently getting disconnected. IT administrator doesn't know where the problem is. Whether it is a server problem, bandwidth problem, or the user problem, or URL problem, application server problem, where the problem is. In few fraction of seconds, you will be able to understand where the problem is. Once you understand where the problem is, I know everybody knows how to fix it, right? So that's what the Insight Center which we are going to talk about, which is going to be very, very helpful.
It will be monitoring, controlling, and diagnostic.
Correct. Not diagnostic, it is a monitoring, auditing, visibility tool.
The visibility will anyway give us the diagnostic.
So if you actually look at as I mentioned, once you see the demo, then probably you can able to understand so it will tell you where exactly the problem. As I mentioned, in a layer there are too many layers over there. When I access an application, it's just not me and the server directly. There are too many ingredients in between, there is a bandwidth, there is a pipeline, and there is a switch, there is a router, firewall, and then there is a application server over there. Where exactly the problem? That's what this guy can able to help you in terms of analyzing it.
Yeah.
It analyze and also audit. You can have a 30 days historical data on the Insight Center. That will help you in terms of for any analytical. Any other questions? So thank you very much, and I'm going to be here for every Q&A. I'm going to keep coming onto the stage. I will hand over to our friend to take forward on the real technology sessions.
Thank you very much.